Alright, let's tweet this out and get started. Live on YouTube. Testing the physics of the new patch. And copy that so I can post it in Discord too. I hate Discord autocomplete. Okay. Let's do this. Hello everybody. Left Squishy to check in. Nice to see you, man. Notification squad. Yes, please. I notified on Twitter too and everything. And I'm gonna get straight into it, so the people watching the VOD later don't have to wait for too long. So there have been a couple of things. First of all, I've released a statement. Let's go on YouTube and on... Where do I see my channel the quickest? Well, I guess I'll just YouTube search for it. I'm doing great. I hope everyone else is doing great. I'm gonna pause my preview. And I posted something as a follow-up. So I'm gonna quickly state this in the video so everyone sees it. With the last test, there was some slight differences with floats. Floats are the mathematical, or the representation that the computer uses for basically normal numbers with decimal places and everything. Those kind of numbers is what the computer uses, and there are problems with that. You always get some kind of inaccuracy, which is explained in the Wikipedia article, so I've linked to that right down here. And well, the dribbling scenarios basically diverged a lot, but the only reason that happened is because it's kind of like a system from chaos theory, where if you don't react to how the ball behaves on top of your car. So let's say, for example, I have the ball on top of my car and I don't react to it. I don't check if the ball goes to the left and I adjust for that. If I just do the same sequence over and over again and the physics just change by a very, very tiny amount, then that can make a difference that ends up, basically the ball can end up in a completely different spot. And that's the only reason that we got any differences on the patch 1.52. So the physics are actually the same in patch 1.52 and 1.49. It's just that there are some very, very specific scenarios where you can see a difference if you test for it, but it's nothing that you could ever notice in real situation. I just noticed that... Wait. Yes, it did show my Rocket League. I just have this preview window and I paused it. I forgot about that. Alright, so I'm just gonna... oh yeah, I also did a couple more things. So I noticed at the end of last stream that some things weren't logging properly. So some of these tests weren't actually writing to the file correctly. These are now writing to the file correctly, everything that I wanted. So I fixed that, and I added a couple of tests. I added a flick, and I added... someone said something about jumping off the wall, which I think is unnecessary, but it was just like a 10-minute change, so not even 10 minutes, it was just a minute probably to add that in, because it was pretty easy. So yeah, there are a couple more tests now, and I'm gonna delete all these CSV files, even though I don't technically need to, just to make sure that the logging is still properly working on the new patch, and we're not just gonna copy over the old files after we're done with the test. And then I'm gonna start the test. No, I don't know if the physics are different. I'm gonna test it, like I do on every test, on every patch. So yeah, gonna delete all the contents of these folders. Make sure that we're actually getting new data. Should happen anytime, anyway, but this just to be sure. Oops. Alright, this is everything. So last time we ran the tests in real time, which takes about half an hour, which is why we're not gonna do this time, unless we get some kind of bug thing. And then we will make sure that it's actually not related to the speed, but I've tested many times that the speed doesn't make a difference. So yeah, all I need to do is run the patch test command, just like last patch, and now it's gonna switch to every single car in the game and make sure that it's still the same. And let me actually turn on the item mod so it looks a bit better maybe. Looks a bit better. Alright. Is it okay to watch this while in AP Physics C? Yeah, I'm sure, man. Or you could just watch it later. I'm using actually the in-game music for the first time, since it's from Monstercat anyway. But might as well do this. Bug thing, no way. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Bakkes. But yeah, shout out to Bakkes because he fixed the mod within a half an hour about of the update coming out, which is very nice. And that's the only reason I can already test now. No bugs so far. I mean, yeah, I already checked whether this tool is working, and I think we might be seeing some differences, but not in the physics, I think. I mean, maybe. I haven't run the full test set yet, so maybe we're gonna see a difference in the physics too, but I think we're gonna see some difference in something. Which is also worrisome. So yeah, if anyone wants to ask any questions, now is the correct time, because I really don't have too much time today. So once I'm done with the testing, I will go offline straight away. Oh, and I completely forgot. No Q&A after. I didn't change the stream title. That's pretty bad. Is it gonna update by itself? I don't see a save button. Okay. I guess it's gonna update by itself. I'm not testing all cars. I need to buy new ones. Oh, they're new ones. Yeah, I'm actually not testing them. Not because I need to buy them, but because I don't have them added to my mod. So it's just switching through literally every car, even if I don't own it, because it's just free play. And testing. See, even this car. Yeah, I gotta add those, that's true. But I can do that later. I mean, that's not gonna make a difference on like physics behavior. It's just gonna confirm which hitboxes and physics the new cars have, which preset they are on. But I would guess that Psionics probably set it somewhere already. So let's see. Can go through the patch notes anyway while it's just changing the cars in the background, which is really boring. And once I hear boosting, I will go back. But there's not too much to see this time anyway, because I'm running at 10x speed, so the tests will go really fast. So did they say anything about the hitboxes of these cars? Did anyone see any Twitter posts or something? Because I did not check at all. And I didn't know if they were even gonna come out today. Oh yeah, I should probably change the engine sound before anyone gets annoyed. Oh, I can't actually. Well, gonna have to deal with it, I guess. Or I just turn off the item mod again. But then my car looks like trash. You're saying octane and 2 times plank. Okay, so these are the 3 cars, I guess. Yeah, this is definitely an Octane, would seem. Basically looks like a Takumi, which has the Octane hitbox. This definitely looks like a plank. This could be literally anything. It could make this a Dominus or Breakout. And I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't like Dominus either. Yeah, I'm German, but I'm not trying to like make the streams in German because everything on my channel is in English. I'm gonna read your message now. Thank you very much, that's very nice of you. I'm definitely trying to make good videos every time, of course. Is it DLC or crate? I'm assuming DLC because it's Hot Wheels. Yeah. DLC pack. To be quite honest, I don't like this song too much. Oh, and Tokyo Machine. It's definitely gonna be a good one, I'm guessing. So yeah, crew for free play I can test every car, including the ones I don't have, like the Mavericks GX1 and such. And I should probably take these out. I thought it would be funny to let these in, but there are like 4 different versions of the mystery decal item, cars and everything. Yeah. Okay, so now the tests have started and you can see them going off at 10x speed, which is pretty fast. So we're gonna be through this in no time because there are only 6 presets. But I also added to the tool the capability of to just run any one test without running other tests at the same time. So if we want to see any of the tests at normal speed afterwards, we can check them out, each one by its own, by its own. So yeah, this is pretty crazy, but yeah, it's a lot faster, and you might have already seen there what I'm talking about when I said I think something's different, because I think my tests are no longer dodging for some reason when they should be dodging. Well, some of them are, as you could see, some were still dodging. So that's really weird behavior, and I'm gonna have to figure out why that is. Because it could always be like my fault. You gotta keep that in mind. So if it's like, for some reason these are no longer dodging, maybe my macro setup doesn't work. Could be my fault, but it could also be something like that they messed something up with dodges, and you have to like, because my dodge macro works in exactly that way, that it doesn't move the car at all. Well, it doesn't, basically the virtual analog stick, I'm gonna call it, it doesn't get moved at all until the point where you press jump. So they might have changed something so it causes some behavior where you have to at least move the analog stick far enough 1 frame ahead of where you press the jump button, which would be bad, because I don't know why they would change the current behavior on purpose. I do know the spreadsheet is in the stream description, and there's every single car except for the new ones, and I believe the Maverick I haven't added either yet. For every single car it shows the hitbox type and physics type. New Genie. I don't really know what to recommend there. I mean, if you really get that expensive of a graphics card, you can probably run Rocket League at maximum settings at 144 Hz and 1440p. And yeah. So this was it. And the reason I'm saying there's definitely some difference, which might not be their fault, what might be my fault, I have to check that. And this is that this should be a dodge, and it's a double jump. It just jumps in the air. Same one for this. I believe this one actually isn't made for the breakout because it drops off before it even does the flick, but yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out why this happens at all. First of all, I'm gonna go ahead though, and yeah, we can see everything is logged new, completely new files, and I'm gonna go ahead and copy these over to the Git directory and push it. Yeah, but the thing is, I didn't. And I even ran the tests, like, these are the settings I'm running it now, because for my testing, I input physics directly. So this shouldn't make a difference, the controller dead zone. But I have it at 0 either way, or every time I test this. The dodge dead zone does make actually a difference, but I always set it at 1. So that could be a cause, but it isn't, because I already tested putting it at 0.9 just to prove that I did that. I know it's 0.91 now, but it's like basically the same, and it still doesn't dodge. And I could try if somehow this shouldn't make a difference though if I put it to 0.1, because I'm not actually inputting that low of a value. I'm actually inputting 1, so it should always do a dodge there. So the issue is not this, has to be the same. The steering and area sensitivity don't affect dodges anyway, but they affect my testing. So I actually rewrote a couple of tests, so everything works with 1 now, because that's, yeah, that makes more sense, makes it clearer what I'm actually doing. So yeah, okay, the files are copied over. I'm gonna check now which ones are different, and it seems that a lot are different. So we have actually what seems about everything different again. That I don't like. I don't like at all. I was under the impression that based on the things Cohen had told me, this shouldn't be a problem. What the hell am I doing? I'm testing physics. Yeah, I'm not pleased at all. Fetch 1.53. Push this. Alright, yeah. Let's take a look at some files. I already... So the problem that we're having is like... Wait, air dodge is not one. Okay, that doesn't have a... That's called air dodge shot. So let's see if it does like a dodge here. No, it doesn't. This is a single jump midair. And now I already have an idea where the difference could be. Okay, this is actually not one that is made with a macro. So I'm gonna go with the the flick one. Whoops. Open this with Sublime. Oops. Window is too big. I don't need. Alright. So this is the macro for flick. I'll run it once again. Test flick. What it does, drives forward, then should dodge right there. And what I'm doing is throttle 1 for 50 physics ticks, then throttle 0.8, 50 physics ticks, and throttle 0.4. And then I jump once off the ground, of course, because you can't dodge while you're on the ground. And this is just for 1 physics tick, then I'm in the air for 10 physics ticks. And then I jump 1 again and set the pitch to -1. And this happens in the same frame, by the way. And I'm wondering right now what happens if I don't do it in the same frame. Because if this works, then what I'm doing now is that I'm basically doing what would be analog stick forward, tilted forward, in this tick, physics tick, and in the next physics tick I'm jumping and still pushing the analog stick forward. I only need to write something when I change something. So yeah, if I run this again and now it does a dodge, then I'm pretty sure that means, okay, this is bad. If this would have jumped, then that would have probably meant that Psionics somehow screwed up dodging. But this must be some other cause. And yeah, gotta figure out. Debug test isn't. I need the debug launch command, right, Bakkes? Yeah, I mean I could test like more than one, just to be sure. It's now 5 frames ahead of time. Still does the same thing. I think they might be here's the thing. Oh, my debug mod isn't registered by default. Okay, here is why I think what I think might be the difference. So there used to be a long time ago, Psionics added these dodge left-right bindings and dodge forward, dodge backwards bindings. And since then, in the engine, there have been the values in the physics ticks for dodge forward and dodge backwards. And I'm actually only overwriting the dodge. I'm actually not overwriting those. I'm just overwriting the pitch. So if now all the dodging is attached to the dodge left and right and everything, that would mean you can't dodge anymore with just the pitch value. It's just that when you manually input something like this with not with a macro like I do, with the hack, basically, then you also input the dodge direction, I guess. And that might be the reason for why there is this diverge. Why it's like a difference. Yeah, I do have the correct sensitivity settings, and any of that should not have any impact on dodging unless they change that. And I already tried with low dodge dead zone, which would make like some sense. But if I input 1 and don't get a dodge with minus 0.10, then with -1 input, I mean, and I only have a dodge dead zone of 0.1, then it shouldn't be that difference. Binding a dodge to a separate key, well, that used to be possible. They removed that because of the no flip. because they didn't like that. So that's why they removed that. But there's something that always remained in the engine from that part. And it used to be that I only need to override pitch and that would cause the dodge, but it seems that that might not be the case anymore. So in that case, I can actually try always overwriting the dodge forward and dodge strafe. The problem is I don't know if I should do this on stream, because I will need to change something in my implementation, because it should be me that's causing this. Okay. That's interesting, Magpie, but that might explain why basically every test is different, which I still have to look at. But that shouldn't make a difference on the dodges, right? Unless it's a bug. And I don't see why it doesn't dodge at all with my tests anymore, other than that it should be my fault. I don't see another reason how it could be different. So what I'm gonna do right now is I have to change this in my thing, but I'm gonna do it off stream right now. Load. Oh, what do you say, Bakkes? Just do it on stream so people can actually see something. I'm just gonna do it on stream. It's only showing my code. It doesn't show anything from Psionics, so should be fine. So yeah, oh god, I don't like this on such a small screen. Basically, this is how I'm overwriting macros. And now I don't just need pitch to be overwritten, I need inputs dot dodge forward to be overwritten. And that is something I didn't do previously because it wasn't necessary. And then for oh, actually, I need to test something first, because during the test, I'm pretty sure that during the test I had a sideways dodge and that was working just fine. So I want to test if that is actually true. So I'm gonna test dodge forward. So this is just the dodge forward by itself. Should be. Isn't. Then we have... Wait, do we have a dodge forward? No, we only have... Do I not have a dodge sideways? That seems very odd. I mean, I guess diagonal dodges. Okay, this one doesn't work either. Dodge diagonal roll. This one must have worked then, right? Wow. Okay. So, roll still allows you to dodge by itself, but yaw and pitch actually need the dodge forward override, it seems. But that means I'm just gonna put this in here and try this as a proof of concept. And so this needs to be inputs dot dodge strafe. And you can full screen it and it looks like you're working. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this should be enough to yeah, at least make the ones with that I've created with macros work. The ones I've created with macros, I will have to fix those afterwards, but I just want to do this as a proof of concept, basically. If the ones with macros work now, that means I can change everything and then rerun everything. And then we also have differences in the other files, which we can already look at right now. And Magpie might have actually suggested what could be the difference there. I actually need the difference. Because if you watched my... I actually need to check which video that was. In some test... input lag retested. This one is the one. In this video, if you haven't watched it, I tested the input lag of the car and found some interesting behavior, and that is shown in this graph right here. Okay, where is the graph fully? There it is. Alright, so I found some weird behavior, and that was how fast the car reacts to inputs in the physics stick scenario. So basically in patch 1.41, as soon as you set a macro with a boost button to 1, in the physics stick afterwards, that gets calculated afterwards, the car was boosting and moving forward because of that. And that wasn't happening in patch 1.43. And they fixed that again in patch 1.44. 1.45. So that is fixed. So that is just working fine like it always has been. But if you look at this, there are still actually some things that are delayed compared to boosting. And well, these are all +1 tick, so you gotta subtract 8 milliseconds. So this one's not delayed. This one's the baseline, basically. But the acceleration movement, which is if you just accelerate with the throttle, that was delayed by 1 physics tick. And apparently Cohen and some of the heavy car bug testing people, they've talked about this, and Cohen said that he might change this, so basically that throttle has lower input lag by 1 physics tick, and the same is true for steering, which would mean that all the steering input lag has been reduced by 8 milliseconds in this patch, if that is true. Those were basically the two things that could be fixed at all, because the other ones were already at the absolute minimum. And yeah, we should be able to see that in the differences. If we look at this, because if that is true, that should mean that some of these macros, the car starts moving exactly 1 tick earlier than it did before. Problem is these views aren't the best. So what I want to actually do is probably open this folder. Can I open multiple projects? Alright, I wanted... and yeah, this folder. And I want to see the history. You really need to open a new instance. But it already has compiled, so I don't technically need it right now. Alright, the music was from Rocket League, I completely forgot. So no music right now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find the BakkesMod folder. place the dynamic link library. All right. So what should change if that was the change that I just talked about? Then we should see something like dribble, and we should see something in the history, the diffs. So I'm gonna have to history compare with previous. So in frame 1 we're not inputting anything, and I honestly don't know what it's complaining about here because these look identical. Let's see. No. Oh no. They aren't identical right here. We have a floating point difference again. Oh, this can't be real, right? I thought we weren't getting a floating point difference on every patch. Help. Oh no. Wait, what actually happens if I run the dribbling test? So first of all, we're gonna do the flick test to see if it dodges now. Okay. It flicks now, but apparently dodge forward needs to have the opposite value of something else. I just forgot. Dodge forward needs to have the opposite value of pitch apparently. Otherwise it's doing a backwards flick. Dodge sideways seems to be fine though, because this was one that was going slightly right. If I saw that correctly. Well, actually the dodge was just backwards and then it was turning. Check this again. Yeah, the sideways dodging seems to be correct, but the forward dodging doesn't seem to be correct. So I'm gonna open up another copy and recompile Rocket League again. Problem is, we somehow have another floating point difference. So we actually have exactly the same problem as last patch. That you cannot confirm for sure. Unless I basically go through all these files in detail again. Wait, there's actually a lot more different here, right? We can see that this is moving constantly back and forth. That is definitely not behavior as it should be. What happens if I run the dribble scenario? Yeah, this drops off way earlier than it should, but it's like... Let's test this with Octane. And I'm not actually sure which dribble was for Octane. I believe it was the third one. Yeah, this one was definitely not it. This one was definitely for Venom. No! No! God dang it. Hate myself. I'm sorry for not showing that. I'm gonna show it in a second again. Okay. Yeah, this is not the one. So all right. So I'm gonna have to fix the dodging now. So that part is no different. But then we have a floating point change again, it seems. And when I have to compare to patch 1.52, whether this got basically reverted or something, which is very odd. So this is not intended behavior. It can't be. We are varying between exactly 0, which should be the... Actually, I need to check this. So this is boosting both of these faults. Then we have throttle. Then we have steer. Then we have car location, XYZ, XYZ. Those seem to be stable. After car location, we have linear velocity, which is this. So the linear velocity in Y direction is slightly unstable for some reason. Let's check if this is true for every car. Because the Batmobile is actually the only one that doesn't use a preset, so if that would be different, then it would be less surprising, I'd say, at least. And let me turn off this motor mouth, because I'm sure someone's gonna get annoyed at it. And I don't want to bother anyone with that. Okay, so I'm gonna check out the dribbling setup with this and compare with previous, and let's see if we also get the unstableness in the linear velocity, and we do. So both of these cars have unstable linear velocity. I actually have to check, did we get any differences in car stats? Car stats, oops. No, these are all... Wait, okay. These are all from patch 1.53. So yeah, we do get a difference in angular velocity and linear velocity, which is completely irrelevant because we're standing still in all of these tests. Which is the weird part that's happening, because there shouldn't be any linear velocity or angular velocity at all, to be quite honest, but we're getting some. That doesn't mean the cars have actually changed though. So the cars themselves are the same, it seems. Although I have to basically go through all of these to confirm that for sure. That it's only... Well, the suspension distance is also different, but that seems to be rather random and something we also had in the previous patch. And yeah, I'm going through all these right now. Looking at the lines which have changed. And it's always only the velocity and such. So yeah, the cars haven't actually changed at all. But we have, for some reason, we have unstable velocities when the car is standing still. Okay, this only outputs location and rotation. Hey Jacob, so I don't know if you watched from the start, but there seems to be, again, some weird minor difference that's probably unnoticeable. But I'm not sure if it is, and I'm not sure if Psyonix is aware of it. And if this is intended. Did they remove the quantization, you're asking? I don't know. Should be there, yeah. Wait. So yeah, we're getting... It's different. It's like, if we look at the... Which one is this? This is the z velocity. So the downwards velocity. Which is actually never 0 if you're on the ground. You can see every time this is actually exactly the same as in the previous update. Except it's always like 0.001 higher in the new update. Which makes no sense, because why would it always be 0.001 higher? Oh jeez. I really wish this wouldn't be a thing. So let's just check if there are maybe even more differences. So I think we saw some in angular velocity also, but not in the actual angle. Yeah, it's like they round to 2 decimals, like they did previously, but then they add 0.001 on top, which makes no sense in my mind. And then there's this really weird behavior that we're constantly getting some velocity in y direction, forwards, backwards. Which reminds me of patch, what was it called, 1.43, where you would never quite stand still. You would always like still move a tiny amount. You just landed on the ground and then you were still sliding. It would take like, I don't know, 30 minutes to move just from here to here, but you were still sliding. And it's turning slightly tighter when turning right. I haven't actually checked that at all yet, because I was hoping that it would actually everything be exactly the same, but I doubt that this would make like a significant difference on turning. But the way we would test this is by doing this to history, compare with previous. Problem is we have already all this start, so we gotta find which one's the angular velocity, and that should be with car linear velocity. Then we have the quaternions, so the last ones should be the angular velocity. So we can already see that from the start, where the car should still be standing still, we already have a tiny amount of angular velocity for some reason in the new patch. Wait, do we? Oh, we also have this here. I just missed by. But it's slightly different again from the start. Let's see if there's actually a meaningful difference. So what we would be looking at right here is this value, the very last one, which is 2.052310. And it was 2.0522. So yeah, you're technically right. Technically you're turning tighter to the right. But yeah, I mean, if you do the math, this is... Wait, this is actually to the left, but I don't know if you meant to the right. I think this is to the left. So if we divide these two numbers, subtract 1 times 100, and we have a 0.0005% difference, which is definitely not noticeable. So that was the left turn. Now we look at the right turn, which, yeah, it's pretty much the same. No real difference there. There's a tool called numdiff. Oh, really? It sounds really amazing. I'm gonna check that out. Because that should mean basically those that don't diverge really. Don't make too big of a difference. You can actually run this on Windows though. This is not like... Did they remove the stall? Really? Wait. Oh, I need to... You can't stall. Could be screwed again. This one shouldn't work, I believe, right now, because of a different reason though. Yeah, this one doesn't work, but it's probably a different reason. Because I'm not using a macro for that. But in... I mean, I can just bind it quickly and check that. So, yeah, we want S to right, S to left, and oh shit, I have jumping around to mouse, I completely forgot that. Okay. Oh, I fucked that up. I don't know how you fuck it. No, it still works definitely on keyboard. Yeah, it definitely still works on keyboard. Should work on controller too then. I don't know if it's might just be a tiny difference or it's just in your head. Okay, Jacob says stalling is fine. That's a good indicator that stalling is fine, I would say. Okay. So, how do I go from here? So there's... Okay, this was only breakout, but there's basically no significant difference in breakout. Yeah, I was looking at numdiff. Did you answer on that? Ben Klein, I don't know if this is, I mean, I can just download it, right? Should be the right one. Okay, this is just... Am I stupid? Oh, I downloaded the signature. Oh, do I need to build this myself? Does it run in Windows then at least? Well, this is basically definitely not something I seem to have time for right now. Unihalle. Okay, this doesn't have like... Is there just a build version for Windows? Oh, you're checking right now. That's nice. Thank you. I need to drink something. Gotta be honest here, I've never like worked on a big project like this with physics, so I don't know for sure why there might be reasons that these floating point differences are there every patch. But I have to say it really sucks for a tool like this, and I do think a tool like this would be great to have. Because if we didn't have these floating point differences on every patch I've used this tool on so far, then this tool could give you a 100% clear answer whether physics have changed or not. But you can see that basically these are while they are all different, they're all basically the same if you look at like ticks. This is just turning. Let's see how much the position diverges in the current patch. So the position should be the first ones after the inputs. So the true is boosting. This one's throttle, this one's steer. So we're steering right at maximum power. We'll have throttle on, we have boost on. And after 600 physics ticks, which is, if you divide it by 120, that should be 5 seconds, right? Yeah. Didn't want to make bad math on stream. Then you can see that, okay, after 600 physics ticks on the current patch, the position in the X direction actually doesn't diverge at all, which is really nice. So 5 seconds later, it's still exactly in the same spot in X direction. In Y direction, it changes by 0.46 unreal units. No, actually more. But it's less than 1 unreal unit after 5 seconds, so that's basically impossible to see. Which also means that you can't tell it, because after 5 seconds there's basically still less than a pixel difference, or maybe 1 pixel difference. There's no way that anyone can see that. So that's the good sign again. Turning's basically the same. Except this was only the breakout I just checked. So could in theory still be the... Wait, I don't need just the history, I need to compare. We check that out with Batmobile. It's a similar story, 0.2 difference in X direction, in Y direction. It's 0.2. So this is, yeah, even less of a difference for the Batmobile. And yeah, I would say the conclusion for now, it seems to be the same as last patch. Something changed, but it's not possibly noticeable for any human. Because we're literally talking about 0.0001% difference or something, and it's like 5 seconds. After 5 seconds of turning, there's a 1 pixel difference or something. There's no way that anyone can tell that. Because you always gotta see like the size of the stadium is, it's about, I think, 8,000 Unreal units long. So from right here, here's 0, and then there's like 4,200 until here, Unreal units. So if you divide this into 8,200 equally large pieces in this direction, slices, not pieces, slices, and then you take 0.2 of that, then you have your difference. And yeah, there's basically nothing left that you could see. I mean, we can even do a test like player location. Actually, let's just set the gravity to 0 first. And then we make player stop. Okay, stop doesn't work on player. And we do player velocity 0, player rotation, and then we do player location. Okay, so now the car's here, and what happens if we move it? Oops, I'm turning. Let's say we move it by 0.5 Unreal units, or let's say 1. What is 1 Unreal unit? Watch out. Okay, that was 1 Unreal unit. That's the wrong direction, I would say, because that's the direction the camera moved in. That's 1 Unreal unit that you just saw. Okay, let's do that again. Oops. And after 5 seconds of turning, that's basically the difference. So there's not a working difference. You got numdiv working on Linux. Do you have the Git? Wait a second. I can link the GitHub, and you can check it out. You would. That's no problem for you. So yeah, I'm. Okay, have I recompiled this yet? But basically, yeah, so we just have some internal differences of how they're processing dodges. And we have some differences again in floating point. And I really need to write this tool that basically numdivs. Why can't I just log the values with a bit less precision? I mean, I could with like significantly less, but a bit less. Of course that would work, but yeah, I don't know. I could, of course. But I'd rather have like the full shebang. Because it does work on the same patch, so I really don't understand why it doesn't work after some time. And if I don't have the full data with the full accuracy, and I do have some divergence after like a couple of physics ticks, then how do I know what causes that divergence? Because the dribbling scenarios are once again different than they were last patch. This dribbling scenario, I need to sock gravity, turn that back to default, and if I do the dribble scenario, wait, this one is not meant for Octane, so this one should fall off pretty fast, but the one for the Octane, you can see it just falls off to the left when what I actually did on the previous patch is turn the Octane so far left there that it actually dropped to the other side. But that's just because basically the ball rolls off to the left so fast here. Just starts rolling off to the left too early. But I actually don't know. I'm not even sure if I did this before I talk anything wrong. I can show what I did on Venom though. On Venom it definitely stayed on for quite a bit. So basically there wasn't useless boosting and stuff. I know it stayed on the Venom in the previous patch until the end there. And if I don't log the full accuracy, then I wouldn't have a clue why this divergence happens. So okay, I'm gonna check first of all that this I'm gonna have to get the new dynamic library again, restart Rocket League, and now the flick and something like that should work at least. The problem is with these dribble scenarios because they're so long. So anything of that will change after a while. Any mention of the posts? Did they change something there? There might be a change because apparently every test has a tiny difference. And if you have some very, very specific bounds that you know from a training pack that has been the same every time, then it could be different again. Because there is a tiny difference once again. But it's one that's basically not possible to see. Unless you know what the exact bounce is that's supposed to happen. Okay, this flick really works still well. So you can see, because the scenario is so short, basically what happens here, that the ball drops, start driving, instantly flick. And because this scenario is so short, this flick basically goes exactly where it went in the previous patch. Method I go about testing the posts is just, I have some... The problem is you can't perfectly test it, right? Because the geometry on the post could change somewhere on the post, and I can't shoot on every little tiny spot of the post. So this is buggy bounce, which is pretty bad because my car is so far away you can't actually see it, but it gets locked to a CSV file. So if there's like a difference on that, then I would get fixed. This one's actually not buggy. I don't know why I called it buggy bounce. That was just a curve bounce. Alright. Right, we wanted to actually check what Magpie said happened in this patch. We can still check that. We just got lost on the divergence, which also already happens before. We can't test on this one though, because this one uses... We need the dribble one, because that one... What? I'm so confused. Okay, dribble. Compare with previous. So the one where the throttle starts. That's the frame we're looking for. Which is this one. And we want to see basically the frame where the throttle starts is also where the car starts moving. No, it's still not true. As you can see, the car is in Y location 449.629. And in the next tick, the throttle starts acting, and it's still in the same spot, even in the new patch. So that kind of behavior hasn't changed. And I assume the same is true for the turning. But we can check that too, which is happening right here. We can see the first frame, first tick where the turning starts happening right here, 0.14. That's where the car Y, the car Y location, no X location, this one's the X location, is still the same in the first tick, only starts working afterwards. So yeah, no, I have tested the posts. They just, I mean, what I'm saying is that I can't possibly test every single spot on the post. So basically I have a couple of buggy bounces set up which are in here, which seem to be still the same. For example, the one where you shoot from here, right here, and it goes out again, even though it shouldn't, because you're actually hitting the inside and not the, right there, not the post. I've tested that and that still works definitely. But there's basically, I can test whether the post physics in general are different, and I have done tests for that to confirm that that is not the case. But I haven't tested literally every spot on the post because that is also impossible. So yeah, we checked that the behavior of when inputs the acceleration, which we are at here, and the turning turns into real movement of the car, is still the same in this patch. There's once again a tiny floating point difference, which causes a big divergence on tests like dribbles, because they are so very long. And I really need to write the tool which will actually calculate stats from this, because right now I'm just getting raw values, and that means every time we're not seeing whether the behavior is similar, which is the only thing that matters. And then you can calculate how similar is the behavior in percentage. And I think if it's like 0.005%, like it is in this case, we can give psionics the pass for saying the physics are the same if they're only 0.005% different or something. Can I test if Hoops physics have the same physics as normal soccer mods? I mean, I could, but I'm pretty 99% sure that they do. So yeah, that's not like a priority for me right now. I know there are ranked modes now, but in general, like the main mode is definitely a priority for this channel, and I have no clue when, if ever, I'm gonna do like episodes on sports modes. Even though, for example, there's probably a lot to talk about in terms of Snow Day and Rumble. And you're getting a way higher ping. I mean, could be just unlucky servers or stuff. Patch has just come out. I wouldn't put it beyond luck. And if it's not luck, then it's probably, I don't know, your internet could just be worse for a couple of hours. That's nothing to worry about. The stalls aren't gone again. Jacob has confirmed that he can still score. Stall, not score. I'm sure he can still score too. So yeah, okay. So, okay, thank you, Ben Klein, for looking that up. You're saying wall drive is equal, but everything else is different or something, or are you like checking one by one? I don't know how the tool works, so thank you very much for checking that at all. Wait, they fixed the stall macro somehow. No, I'm not sure if you were watching the entire time, Bakkes, but I like fixed the dodging behavior. It was exactly what I expected it to be. This one's the good flick for Venom. It's just because... Oh, I know why the first flick is broken. Because I tried changing it on stream, right? No, I'm not actually sure. I might have broken this, I have to check that later. But the first one's not that good anyway. It was always the second one that was a good flick on the Venom. I believe on the Octane, it was the the first flick, which was a good one. No. Is there any car? Oh, this is just once again divergence. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely slightly different from before, but once again, it's like so hard to tell because with this dribbling, you have a constant ball touch, so diverges quite fast. Even though there are only tiny differences. Please keep the chat in English. Yeah, all angular velocities have like a random number added, and all velocities have some random number added. So once again, I'm probably gonna talk to psionics, but once again the conclusion is these differences are negligible. But I'm honestly not sure why they happen. Yeah, no, it's not random. I mean, like, it's random. Why would there be the same number every time, right? Or is it not the same number? It's always 1/10 of the normal truncation. So they did add like some behavior. I mean, the conclusion might just be when I contacted Cone, he said something about he doesn't know exactly the change list of each patch. So he doesn't actually know exactly what is in every patch. But he knows that he changed something with the floating point behavior. So maybe they did something twice and somehow that ended up in different patches for some reason. Which might be the decision of some other people in the company. And harsh delivery, as I said already. Keep the chat in English or you're gonna get timed out next time. Yeah. So I believe I'm gonna end the stream for now because I already streamed over an hour. And okay, I already warned you guys. How do I time out on YouTube? Is it not possible? I don't know how to use YouTube. That's nice. Can't time out anyone because I don't know how to. Ben Klein use 0.01 because that makes the most sense. Because Psyonix actually manually rounds to that decimal in theory on the location and velocities. For some reason, they don't though, and randomly add a number right here. But you can see how this behavior works right here. For example, in this, you see this is 0.66, right? This is the best representation of 0.66 there is in binary, and this one's exactly 0.00. Where do I have a better example? Oh, right here, 18.33. That's rounded to 2 decimals. So yeah, you should check for 2 decimals on everything. Magpie, I'm not sure what you mean to round consistently like that. To do it to 2 decimals or what? Because this tool logs exactly 100% the same file. I mean, I haven't tested on the current patch. I can do it again, but it did on all previous tests all previous patches I've tested on. It logs exactly the same files every time you run it. No difference. So when a new patch comes around and it logs a different file, I'm saying like, why are you using, why is it causing a difference? Like, you might expect it should be possible to round to exactly the same number. And we have confirmed with Arator that it does happen on other PCs too. Exactly the same file, as long as it's the same patch. And I'm talking about his file was the same as mine, not just talking about my file being the same and his file being the same on his computer. Why in specific, Arator, are you saying for 4 decimals? I mean, we're like trying to look for real differences right now. So yeah, just check for 2 decimals, should be just fine. I mean, I understand that usually it should round those some values to 2 decimals and others not. But we're just trying to find significant differences right now, and I think anything below 2 decimals isn't significant in any of these scenarios. Alright, yeah, I'm just running this test again, just to confirm that it does still behave. I mean, I ran a couple of the tests already, right, by itself, and they were the same every time I ran them. So it's basically should be 100% deterministic, but Just testing again, just to be sure it's still 100% deterministic. But it's gonna come out to the same result, I guess, and then I'm gonna, once again, write a short message to code and see. I honestly don't know how long exactly it needs to go through all the cars, because that's a lot of reloading. Afterwards it's very short. Total time should be like 7 minutes maximum. Oh, I don't know if you're still here, Leslie. Thank you for watching. I'm not the best streamer. I always miss messages in chat. If it's something important, just say it again. Alright. Should be like through most of the cars now, I think. At least 2/3. What even is this car? I really don't know some cars from the crates. I never open crates or trade. Yeah, I mean, sure, right now Q&A time, fine. Anyone ask something? Made a pull request to the GitHub repo. Okay. I'll check it out. I'm not actually sure how you... Oh, it's just list or... Okay, that's actually interesting. So they're... most of them are still different. But yeah, I mean, we saw that in the turning behavior already, right? How the cars turned. The difference was way bigger than 0.01 Unreal units, but it was after 5 seconds of turning. Still only 0.6 Unreal units different or something. Which is basically so small that you won't even notice the difference unless you have a direct comparison. And that's after 5 seconds of turning. So yeah, we're all the cars now, and this should be pretty quick again. And now it actually dodges. Wait, actually, no. These are still actually not really the right ones. Because not all of these... Wait, what? Wait a second. Did the car just turn to the side? On the air dribble? I'm gonna have to check the air dribble scenarios. That is really... Oh, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. Because you know why? We saw in the differences that the car Y velocity was constantly hovering between 0 and 0.001 or something. Which would mean that the car basically is offset to the side a bit. So it starts pushing the ball to the side. And that pushes back on the car, and then the car starts to turn and everything. It's weird, but this is really weird behavior. Yeah, it happened again right there. Phew. Gotta take a look at that too, I guess. Compiler flags that allow aggressive float optimization. Sounds like a good guess. I wouldn't know much about stuff like that. Do I have anything planned this week? Well, I'm basically all busy because of uni, because I still need to write something. That's why I need to end the stream too. Soon. Once all these tests are done. But even that aggressive optimization, could that cause a difference on every patch? Is it like the compiler thinks because of one change, it thinks, okay, I don't need this much precision right here or something? I don't know if you know anything, any specifics like that, Magpie. I can add you in PR. What does PR mean? I have no clue, to be honest. Okay. I don't know if you're allowed to push links. I have no clue about the YouTube settings, to be quite honest. Oh, pull request. Sure. Okay. Yeah, sure, man. Thank you. I will. I might like take a look at it and run it once again with 1 or something, because that shouldn't make a difference on the turning behavior from what I've tested. If I take it like a full Unreal unit. Problem with that is that since it's like quote unquote a dumber way to do it, just this it's not looking at the actual values in detail, because that means it will round everything to 1, right? Which for the angular velocity doesn't make much sense, but for the location of the car it makes sense to round that to 1 Unreal unit. Because if the car is in the same spot by 1 Unreal unit, then you're basically not gonna notice a difference unless it happens like instantly in 1 tick. So yeah, Magpie, otherwise you can link me in Discord DMs or something. Oh true, I already have the Ubuntu shell. Yeah, if you need to build it though, I need to take a look at it. I'm not the best at all the build tools, to be honest. And yeah, I'm gonna... Oh yeah, right, I wanted to check, right? If it's still the same behavior. Problem is I've actually changed some tests. So those should be different now, but the other ones should be the same. I'm gonna test that. Oh. You're all right there, Rocket League. So I'm gonna copy the files over again. Once that's done, I'm gonna check for diffs. Alright. Before the link. Okay, this is quite a long post. We'll definitely not read through all of this on stream. And not today either. Thing is, Cohen didn't directly answer my question that I asked him. I basically asked him directly that if I could rely on the floats being the same on new patches, or if it could be different every time, and he didn't really answer that. He basically just answered the part about that they did change something in the last patch, which made me conclude that surely if they changed something on purpose in that patch, the next patch would be the same. So yeah, basically this is a really long blog post. Oh, these are our responses. Okay, it's not that long then. Still pretty long. Not something for now. I'm gonna read through that though. Maybe find some answers on that. Maybe ask Cone again. And I definitely want to write my... basically a tool that makes sense of these files. Because right now, of course, numdiff could be helpful. It's still not that helpful though, because I can already tell that something like the... well, not with this car. Okay, right. I wanted to test the air dribbles. And I believe this one was the one that actually pinched with the ceiling. So yeah, it doesn't do that anymore. So that's definitely already a difference. But the weird part is what happened with the octane on either air dribble 1 or 2. Yeah. Whoa! Yeah, did you see that? The ball just drifts off to the side, which must be because the car is for some reason just slightly off to the center, and once that happens and it touches the wheel, once it touches the wheel, it's all over. And the weird part is that prior to this patch, this was actually the most nuts thing I've done in a macro, because this air dribble actually air dribbled it onto the backboard, but slightly before the backboard, the car was actually pretty far away from the ball. So it turns around and basically dunks it in from an impossible angle. Well, anyway, not gonna look this cool now, I guess. But yeah, that's the tiny differences we get there. So let's just go with... I know already that git status shows me a difference on every file, because the reason it shows me a difference on... oh, it doesn't. Wait. Why was it doing that last time? I thought it was doing a difference every time, but it doesn't actually. So yeah, only the flick, flip, reset, wave dash are different, because those are the ones that use dodges, and I've had some bug in my dodging. So I fixed that. That's my fault. But it's still deterministic. It still gets exactly the same result, even though I ran the script twice. Dodging in macros. I haven't tested the new cars yet. No, I need to add them. I need to figure out their item IDs and then I can test them, but it's like not my highest priority right now, because usually Psyonix says somewhere which the what the hitboxes are. And yeah. I don't know. They should probably have said it somewhere, so you can check that out, because that's basically always right. Are the physics broken? Short recap. They're slightly different once again. It's once again just a floating point difference that you can't notice, basically. Unless you have some kind of weird training pack where you know it's gonna bounce exactly right here and then right there 10 times at 100 kph or something, and then bounces slightly differently after 3 bounces or something, then maybe you can tell the difference. But yeah, for anything normal you can't tell a difference because the difference is just too small. On turning, for example, I tested it. Turning for 5 seconds caused a difference of like 0.2 Unreal units or 0.6 Unreal units, which is basically so tiny that you need a direct comparison to be able to see it at all, let alone feel it after like a significant duration of like 1 second or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna end the stream for now, and then hopefully, I mean, this patch was pretty fast after my last video because I was so late on that one. And yeah, I hope that for the next patch, unless they're doing a hotfix next week, which I can tell you I won't have that ready for, I will then have a tool that analyzes the CSV files properly, so we will actually get meaningful data even if the floating points change again after just, I don't know, a couple of minutes, and not 1 hour and 30 seconds, 30 minutes. My goodness. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely done, and I still need to do stuff today, so that's more than enough for today. Thank you very much, Cable Guy. It's much appreciated. And yeah, I hope everyone could follow the stream at least a bit, even though if you see like technical details, I mean, it's kind of obvious with the technical details that if you're not in it, then you're not gonna understand it. If you're not like a computer programmer or done some work like that. But yeah, I still appreciate all of you tuning in, and I'll say goodbye now and actually end the stream.